You worked for it. You negotiated for it. Maybe you finally hit it this year. That six-figure salary that was supposed to mean you'd made it. And yet, somehow, at the end of every month, you're looking at your bank account, wondering where it all went. Here's the uncomfortable truth that no one in your HR department is going to tell you. In 2026, $100,000 a year is no longer a wealth signal. In many cities across North America, it is barely a stability signal, and the gap between your gross salary and your real disposable income, the money that actually shapes your daily life, has never been wider or more misunderstood. Welcome to Northbound Insights. I'm going to walk you through exactly what $100,000 a year actually buys you right now in the United States and in Canada, because the answer is not what most people expect. And by the end of this video, you'll have a framework for evaluating any city, any offer, any opportunity with clarity instead of assumptions. Let's start with the world you're living in right now. We are operating in an economic environment that is, to put it plainly, still digesting a very difficult few years. Inflation in both the United States and Canada has moderated from its 2022 peaks, but it has not disappeared. It has simply become normalized. The cost of groceries, services, and insurance has structurally reset at a higher baseline, and those prices are not coming back down. Interest rates, while off their highs, remain elevated by historical standards. The era of near-zero borrowing costs is over. What that means practically is that carrying a mortgage, financing a vehicle, or even holding a balance on a line of credit is significantly more expensive than it was just 4 years ago. The Federal Reserve and the Bank of Canada have both signaled a cautious posture, gradual, not dramatic. The result is a cost of living environment where the same nominal salary buys measurably less than it did even 3 years ago. Not because you're spending differently, but because the system around you has repriced. With that context established, let's get into the single largest line item in anyone's budget: housing. When people debate the United States versus Canada as a place to build a life, housing is almost always the first battleground and almost always the most poorly analyzed. People compare rent numbers without comparing what those numbers actually include. They compare square footage without comparing livability. They compare sticker price without comparing the full cost of occupancy. So let's do this properly. We're using Houston and Calgary as our reference cities for a specific reason. They are both mid to large Sun Belt and prairie economies, both heavily tied to the energy sector, both with reputations as affordable relative to their coastal or eastern counterparts, and both frequently appear on relocation shortlists for professionals earning in the six-figure range. On paper, Houston looks cheaper. A comparable two-bedroom apartment, roughly 95 square meters, modern building, urban or near-urban location, is running approximately $2,150 per month in Houston right now. In Calgary, a similar unit, approximately 85 square meters, is coming in around $1,950 per month. $200 a month. That's $2,400 a year. On the surface, Houston appears to win. But here is where the analysis has to get surgical. First, utilities, and specifically climate control. Houston sits in a subtropical climate zone. Summers are long, humid, and brutal, and air conditioning is not optional. It is a utility you will run for 6 to 7 months of the year. A realistic AC bill in a Houston apartment during peak summer months runs between $150 and $250 per month. Annually, you're looking at anywhere from $900 to $1,500 in climate control costs that are entirely absent from your rent figure. In Calgary, the math flips. Winters are cold, genuinely cold. But the key difference is that heating costs are frequently included in the rent, particularly in condo-style apartment buildings, even where they are not fully included. The cost structure is more predictable and often lower on an annualized basis than Houston's cooling burden. When you adjust for climate utilities, the monthly cost gap between these two cities either closes significantly or reverses entirely. Second, the hidden fee architecture. This is the piece that catches people completely off guard when they relocate across the border. In the United States, and Houston is no exception, many apartment complexes and virtually all condo or townhome communities carry HOA fees, homeowners association fees. These range from modest to genuinely punishing, anywhere from $100 to over $600 per month, depending on the building and its amenities. These fees are billed separately from rent. They are non-negotiable, and they cover services that in many Canadian buildings are simply folded into the rent or condo fee by default. In Calgary, the equivalent structure is the condo fee. These are also a reality for condo owners and some renters, but the fee-to-service ratio tends to be more transparent. They are regulated provincially, and they frequently include heat, water, and building insurance in a way that makes comparison more straightforward. Then there are property taxes, relevant the moment you move from renting to owning, and critical to any long-term financial planning. Houston property tax rates are among the highest in the United States. A home valued at $400,000 in Harris County can carry an effective annual property tax burden of $8,000 to $10,000 or more. In Calgary, a comparable property sits with an annual municipal tax in the range of $3,500 to $4,500 Canadian dollars. And after currency conversion, that gap is substantial. Third, and this is the one I want you to sit with, lifestyle per dollar. This is not just about the raw numbers. It's about what your housing dollar actually delivers in terms of your daily experience. Your commute, your access to green space, your walkability, your proximity to the things that make a city worth living in. Houston is a car-dependent city by design. Without a vehicle, your quality of life diminishes rapidly. That car comes with insurance costs, parking costs, fuel costs, and maintenance. A conservative estimate for a standard vehicle in the Houston metro adds $700 to $1,000 per month to your real cost of urban living. Calgary has invested meaningfully in its LRT infrastructure. It is not a perfect transit city, but for a significant portion of professional workers, transit is a genuine alternative and a meaningful cost offset. When you account for climate control, hidden fees, property taxes, and transportation costs, the full occupancy picture, Calgary's apparent $200 per month rental disadvantage transforms into a potential $400 to $700 per month advantage in real disposable income. For the typical six-figure professional, that is not a small number. Over a year, that is between $5,000 and $8,000 staying in your pocket. And that is just housing. We haven't touched taxes yet. We haven't talked about health care. We haven't looked at what that same salary actually nets out to on each side of the border after the government takes its share. If this kind of rigorous, number-driven comparison is what you've been looking for, not headlines, not hype, just honest analysis, then this channel was built for you.